Hi 1%ers, it's Hugo here. It feels strangely appropriate to talk in front of my shower room today. I'm a doctor and ex-pharmacist based in New Zealand. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. When we don't talk about study tips, we explore skills and experiences that can be useful to let us live happier and more fulfilled lives. Our education system may not have touched on this, but today we're going to talk about what I learned from 200 days of cold showers and why it can help you live a more fulfilled life. I've been heavily into personal development, reading hundreds of books in the past few years. I've heard of cold showers for a long time now, but I never had the mental strength to actually start this habit. So how did it all suddenly start? What made me suddenly take to sleep? And how could you get started if you want to adopt better habits as well? Now let's dive right into it. Now throughout my training as a pharmacist and a doctor over the past 10 years, we were trained very well to weigh heavily on scientific evidence when it comes to patient treatment. But the more I learn about medicine, the more I realize medicine as a society as a whole, we don't really know a lot. Usually we have a set of symptoms or investigation findings that we define and put into these labels we call diagnoses. Once you fit into these diagnoses, it's great because we often have scientifically proven guidelines on what we can do to help you. And if your symptoms don't fit into these labels, we either think it might be all in your head or we just don't know what is happening. This is often the case because it makes me feel helpless when we have to send a patient home after a lot of tests and scans and not being able to give them a diagnosis. And the symptoms even sometimes go on for years. It's not until I got to know about Wim Hof through a casual audible recommendation. Now Wim Hof is a Dutch extreme athlete who has some amazing world records, running a half marathon above Arctic Circle barefoot only wearing shorts, now climbing Mount Everest wearing nothing but shorts and shoes, and completely immersed in ice for nearly 2 hours. Now scientists all think these attempts were suicide attempts because any normal human being would have died otherwise, but he does attribute all this because of a particular way he breathes called the Wim Hof method. If it wasn't for these actual recorded attempts and solid proof, I'd probably immediately delete this book and move on because he sounds like a crazy guy and my pharmacy and medicine training tells me to walk right away. Just take a few breaths and it will lower your blood pressure, cure your cancer. All doctors would be like, yeah, right. But scientific experiment after experiment, he was able to defy what was humanly possible, continue to seemingly control and maintain his skin temperature despite completely submerged in ice for hours. And not only this, he was able to prove that this skill was transferable, being able to help other normal human beings like me and you push their bodies to limits they never imagined. Now, the most striking thing from this Wim Hof method book that imprinted onto my mind was this.
We are able to adapt about to anything. But because we got into this comfort zone behavior hundreds of years, our genetics have changed, our physiology has changed, and we lost actually the full power of the mind.
Now this got me to think, what if there are ways to unleash our potential? Maybe it's something that our scientific community haven't got enough time to conduct experiments, gather sufficient evidence yet. Now it's the age-old debate of, does having a lack of evidence make these methods immediately not work? Or does it just take time for the mainstream to adopt and accept these unconventional methods? Now, there are many claims at the moment that needs more evidence, including giving you more energy, better sleep, through to lowering your blood pressure and relieve arthritis. Now, even if a fraction of this was true about cold showers, it would be great. But I wasn't doing this for the health benefits. I was actually doing this because I want to level up my mental strength. I always wanted to develop better discipline, but I've been really weak all my life. But the book mentioned a few ways to make it easy for beginners like me to get started. This was also described in Matt Diavella's video.
There are 3 ways to take a cold shower. 1. You can start with a hot shower and then ease into a cold shower at the end. This is the coward's way.
Now I chose to do this the coward's way because it just doesn't give me any excuse. A hot relaxing shower at the end of the day is one of the most enjoyable things for me personally, and I didn't want to end up hating life by taking away this enjoyable event of the day. Now the thing with taking a normal shower is that you don't hesitate to walk in, you just get started. Now once you have done your routine, you're right there ready to turn the tap to cold. Now this is arguably harder than just walking into a cold shower because 1 second you're in the most comfortable hot shower ever to now willfully inflicting icy pain to your body. So here are the 5 phases of cold shower as a beginner from day 1 to day 30. Now phase 1 is the dread. Your mind asks, why are you doing this to yourself over and over again, and actually begs you to not turn that tap to cold. Then on phase 2 is the gasp, the first instinct that your body does because you're now in survival mode. Your brain just can't think or wonder because you're focusing on not dying. And in phase 3, the senseless, you start to not feel the cold water. Everything seems to be okay as long as you don't think about the cold water and focus on your breath. And phase number 4 is the warmth. As you progress, you even have this strange feeling that the cold water is indeed warm. And then phase 5, the shiver. As you push yourself further, you start to lose mental focus. You start to realize again that you are in icy cold water and your body starts to shiver uncontrollably. So in the beginning, it was a pure mental act, trying to focus on breathing, trying to count to 10 breaths, and then counting to 20 was hard. Then I found that double counting worked. Instead of 1, 2, 3, it was 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, and so on. Now slowly, this 15-second cold shower evolved to a full minute. It turned into a game of how many more breaths can I count to before I shiver uncontrollably and I had to stop. Then by week 3, this pushed towards 10 minutes and beyond without shivering. Now after 1 month, it started to get boring, but it was boring not because it was getting any easier, but it was just me standing there counting and fighting the urge to shiver. Now on one hand, I didn't want to stop because it's now a symbol for my commitment to consistency. And no matter how unproductive my day was, I always felt a sense of achievement for voluntarily putting myself through this. Now at the end of my shower with cold water wasn't enjoyable, but it comes with great sense of fulfillment from winning this battle of the day. Now this is why I kept going, but to kill the boredom and to be more productive, I decided to add in more routines that I wanted to do regularly, including deep stretching and gratitude. As the days go by, these 5 phases of cold shower evolves. Now you still have the phase 1, the dread, the unwillingness that really doesn't go away, but you take less and less time to think about turning the knob to cold. And in phase 2, the gasps no longer exist because your body is so used to the change in temperature. You tell yourself, this is simple, this is easy, and it seems to help. Our phase 3, the senseless. Most of the time you don't feel the cold. You focus on the stretching, and most times you even feel serenity and you just feel calmness. Now you are now even able to have your mind wander a little bit and think about next video ideas instead of focusing on survival. Phase 4, the warmth. The surges of warmth comes and goes, still depending on how focused your mind is on your breath. Now phase 5 is the shivering. Now it no longer exists unless the water is much colder, like the time I went down south for a trip and the temperature there was -1 degree Celsius, which is 30 degrees Fahrenheit. So after 200 days, there are 4 things that cold showers taught me. Now number 1 is commitment to doing something hard daily. Now consistency is hard. Now committing to something uneasy daily is even harder, especially when no one knows if you skip a day. I remember while on a road trip a few months ago, there was one night that I feel too tired and didn't shower at all. So the next day, I decided to take a cold shower twice as long because I promised myself not to miss this habit. And I remember I was shivering so hard because I was so not used to the temperature and also the double the length of my usual shower. And once I was able to take my word seriously with cold shower, I find that I was able to complete most important tasks throughout the day because I committed to it. And number 2 is a transferable skill to beat procrastination. We all know that the things that we dread most are probably the things that we should really be doing right now. All it takes is 1 deep breath to turn the shower from hot to extreme cold. I find it is easier to start these dreaded tasks because I can convince myself that these tasks are so much more easier than me turning this tap from hot to extreme cold. Now all I have to do is take 1 deep breath and start doing 2 minutes of it until I get into my flow state. And number 3 is gratitude for small things. As a very fortunate human being living in a first world country, we get our every need taken care of and forget how lucky we are. Now the fact that we are seeing things, breathing well, and even being able to walk is a great gift. Now being able to truly be grateful for the things that happened during that day while under this cold shower has been a life-changing practice for me because I'm constantly reminded of how lucky I am, and I've indeed become happier and living a more fulfilled life because of this gratitude routine. And number 4, I learned that our mind is a very powerful tool. Now from shivering uncontrollably after 15 seconds on the first day of my cold shower to now no shivering after 10 minutes. It shows us that we are an adaptation machine and we can do what it takes if we set our minds to achieve our goals. I can now adopt this mindset and try to excel further in other areas of my life. I hope sharing this personal journey with you have inspired you to take action and make even small improvements to your daily habits. If you like this video, please subscribe for more, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.